Hi everybody, welcome back to Arvind Upadhyay. I am your host Arvind Upadhyay. In this episode, I am talking about the daily practices for the leaders. This podcast is brought to you by Arvind Upadhyay Books, and Arvind Enterprises Group. Now, some of the tactical things every leader's got to remember to do it. In order to follow that, that forum for the people to support what they create, for having those vision decisions, for making sure that there is alignment and autonomy, for making sure that you are embodying those visions, decisions, for making sure there is alignment and autonomy, for making sure that you are embodying and showing it for the people, and ultimately making sure you are managing the energy and the resilience of the group. So here we go. Practice number 1 is the most established, is the rhythm of teams. You have got the established the rhythm, and what's that mean is, let's say you are running an organization. Of the rhythm of the organization result in two ways. When you think about it, there is an internal rhythm, the way that you meet, the way that you set goals, the rhythm of planning your quarter or your OKR, your KIPS. It's all the internal rhythm of the things that you do to function and run the business, right? Then there is an external rhythm, that is your release rhythm, that's your launch rhythm, that's your marketing rhythm, that's your public facing publicity rhythm. It is what the world see of you now. Those two rhythms are sometimes different. They are different in organizationally, they are different in families, they are different in how you might run a new team versus an established team. But it's so important that you are, as a leader, take that what does that need to look like, and you will not know, unfortunately, until you practice that principle. And number one, people support you what they create. I will give you an example. In my company right now, we are added a whole bunch of new people, and we are still trying to figure out, okay, what's this new rhythm going to look like. And so the new team has to come in and see the rhythm. Now, as I said that in my company I have hire some bunch of the new people, and I am thinking that we are trying to figure out what this is the new rhythm going to look like. And so the thing is, the new team has to come in and see the rhythm we are doing now, and then we got the adjust and pivot a new team to establish the norm. You all know that the form is from and forming and team research experience. Well, our job is to figure out what should that rhythm be and across the company, like your all hand meetings and process to the each team, each organizational unit does. So how you are going to improve? Families have to do this too. You are a parent, okay, what's your family rhythm? What do you do Monday through Sunday? What's your ritual? And what are these time slots that are going to repeat? You might have a rhythm that you have with your partner or spouse. You go out the date night or Friday, right on. You might have the rhythm that you have with this child versus that child, in order to create that connection with them. Everything has to thought of its term of a rhythm or a ritual or the pattern calendar slot, in order for everyone to feel like oh, we are moving in unison here. When leaders don't establish or work to establish with their teams or their culture or their families what the rhythm is going to be, everything feels random all the time. Everything feels like we are fighting fires, fighting. It always feels like we are fighting fighters. We are in the emergency mode and we are going to burn out. And so I see this all the time, and it's the hardest part, because you are, as a leader, often don't know what the rhythm need to be yet. It has to happen in the motion, which is why it's so important to be a good listener. So many leaders come into new companies, and when they come into new companies, I recently, I think I was last, it was 2 quarters ago, helped the CEO transition into a company where they had 1,200 employees, and I got brought in by the board because he was in the trouble, and so I got brought in his 360 evaluation from the whole team. He had only been there like 6 months. Everyone hated the guy, and I couldn't like it. Took a while to figure out. Very likable, emotionally intelligent, fun, smart business person. And I am like, what's going on? And what I found out was, when he's come to the company, he said, well, this has to be our rhythm. So when he come to the company, he directly say that his rhythm was like, here is our quarterly goals, this is our yearly goals, this is how we meet, and just imposed a rhythm on the existing team. They were not ready for that, and so it was like a revolt, and for them, they got used to doing something, this whole thing that changed everything. It was too fast, and if you are an organizational leader, you know that that's a super hard. It always happen. Every company goes through it. Transition and leadership are always difficult, always challenging. But your job is to be aware of that, and your job, if you are the person who has that vision decision, you have to work really hard to establish that normal rhythm, normal meetings, cadence, normal way about trying to achieve a goal, normal way of managing a project, normal way, meetings a quarterly, stress you have to establish that. And you are probably going to need help with it. This is a great distinction between where leadership and management. Diverse leaders work with the managers to establish that people support what they create to establish that rhythm, and often that leaders does not actually manage the rhythm. So they help set it up, they agree to it, they go, and then there is a project managers, there is a mid-level managers, there is other people who are going to make sure that rhythm happens, right? Same things might happen in your family. You might say that, okay, we are all going to do this, but you might not be the person who always make the things happen. You might feel like you might have some support, you might have an assistant, you might assign the rhythm of the kids to the older kids, right? That you hear that there is an assignment happening there, but you need to be aware of it and ensure that rhythm is happening with the great energy. And the second big idea is that in that rhythm, your job as a leader is to constantly repeat what is the vision and what are our beliefs, what should we focus on and not focus on. So it is a repetition. What the vision, what do we believe, here is what we are working and what we are not working on. What's the vision here, what do we do together, and what do we believe, that do we work on, what we are not. It's that I often teach my own teams, like I call this like fighting for focus. It is like the leader's job to say the same thing so many times. It's finally sink in your hope when you are leading teams, that they get to take years to get you could say the same things. And I had blessing of working with the people and with the many companies and individuals. Now the one of the common things that I always share, and you can read this in my books also, that candidate, and literally the 200 year back they all say same things, and you are so surprised by how often that have to say something that they can't believe that they have to go from the organization, this team, that have to say the same thing over and over, and they have to repeat it. And here is our values, here is our vision, here is what we after, here where I mean, as a leader, your responsibility is to saying to people that this is the way where you are going you can go, and this is the way where you don't go. I mean, leaders know where to go, how to go, and why to go. I focus on it has to be so repetitive. You have to build that people need to hear things. How many times before they get it, not 7 dozen right, they have to hear it 7 times to understand it, or to repeat it, on the memorize it, to operationalize it over long term. Now you are talking about 100 of the times. That the difference between understanding and memorization and operationalizing. That's why too many leaders get in trouble. They think I already said it, like you said is that you understand that it, but that didn't operationalize it. So high level of the reputation. And the most important thing, so what are we about here, what do we believe, and what we are going to do and not to do. One thing remember always, so hard, very important that you have that on the top of the mind. Third major practice for great leadership, I try to teach my own internal team this, that you have to ensure mindful striving as a leader. That what that means is you have got to know when to hit the gas and when to slow it down. You have got to know when to take on the project and when not in terms of how to achieve it, because management can do that, but how to achieve it with harmony and sanity and avoiding burnout. And everyone struggle with this, because you know what, if you are a leader, you probably have a bunch of high performance, you have the great talent, right? And if you are really high achieving leader, you have got amazing talent all around you, and everyone want to go 99.99 miles an hour all the time. But every race you have ever seen on the track, the cars have pit stop. The cars got to take a pit stop in order to function at the high level. So you got to build the pit stop, you got to build a celebration, you got to say not now this. One thing I know you want to do, that, but let's do and this, and that's always take a lots of discussion and conversation. You hold the heart of the organization. You have to know when you are pushing too hard, and you have to know when you have to just ask for patience. You have to know when it's letting off the gas a little bit. You have to know when, like, okay, we are going to take the little bit less, in this revenue or this quarter than we usually would. But you know what, our people are stressed right now, and what's the hardest part, that's really ensuring that there is a harmony and ongoing joy and the ability to have a high performance. The reason most people don't like organizational leader is because the organizational leaders burn them out. They don't listen and they don't practice everything we talk about in the principle in the earlier session of the training. And so knowing that you hold the heart and the energy and the resilience of the company, remind you like how do we ensure that we mindfully strive. Mindfully striving means not burning out, but mindfulness also means being attentive to the awesome things that are happening, because so many people, what you know, and burnout suck, what there's no appreciation, when there is no celebration, lots of people would push themselves super hard. As long as they are appreciated, there are some celebration, and we are making the impact. If you take away the impact, you take away the appreciation. Now it's just feel like the green no one. want that being mindful in the real life, like our personal development. Mindfulness means we establish a peace and a harmony and a gratitude and consequences to the moments we are present and enjoying the journey, and you ensuring that the journey is being enjoyed by the team. That's mindfulness striving.